What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It's time for another recap of what went down on this week's episode of Teen Mom 2. As you've probably heard by now, here in France, we are about to go into lockdown in the next 8 hours now. So I really have to hurry up. I'm going to be speaking real quick through this recap to get it over with because I got to do a bunch of last minute errands, and then I'm going to meet up with some friends for some last minute drinks before we all go into isolation. Let's do this, okay? Let's do this. Briana is at the salon acting like she welcomed Devoin's mom with open arms when we all know that she sat up on television and talked about how she didn't even want her to come over for Thanksgiving dinner. But not only that, she also said that she didn't give an F about her or the rest of Devoin's family, you know? So then she goes back home with her sister and her mom. All the kids are there because Devoin needs to take Nova to the hair salon to get her hair done. I didn't like the way she talked about Nova's hair. She goes, you know, Nova desperately needs to get her hair done, and Nova was right there. We already saw in seasons past that Nova was feeling very insecure about her hair texture because, you know, everyone else in her family seems to have like a softer, quote unquote, hair texture, straighter hair texture. In school especially, everyone apparently has straight hair. So, you know, the way Briana said she desperately needed to get it done rubbed me the wrong way, but it could have just been anything. Meanwhile, in South Dakota, Adam didn't show up to his weekly lunch with his daughter Aubree, and Chelsea actually seemed excited about it. She just laughed at how Adam overslept for an 11 a.m. lunch. You know, she's like, Aubree, what time is your lunch? Aubree is like 11, and then she like laughs about it and doesn't really ask, you know, like how Aubree felt about it. But you know what? It might have been a good technique just to kind of like brush it off and not always make it seem like it's this huge deal for Adam to come to lunch and a huge expectation, because he will disappoint Aubree more often than not anyway. After she drops Aubree off at home, she gives Tether Grace a break from eating rabbits underground. She knows she summons her above ground so that they can meet up and talk about how Chelsea is planning to execute Covert Cole's plans to isolate Aubree from the Lyns. She tells Tether Grace that she gets the quote-unquote vibe that Aubree doesn't want to spend time with the Lyns anymore, which is funny because just last week, totally coincidentally, right, her husband Cole is the one who basically said that he wanted to cut the Lyns out of Aubree's life. He said, and I quote, "I don't even know why they're still around." And then after he said that, in the same episode last week, Chelsea told us that she's gonna go talk to her lawyers about altering the visitation schedule. What part of that has anything to do with Aubree? Like, I'm genuinely asking. She does admit that Adam goes to see Aubree for lunch, even if it is not every week. So it's not like Aubree doesn't know who her dad is or anything like that. She does spend at least some time with him, you know, like he's trash, but she knows him and she loves him, and that's kind of it at the end of the day. Then Chelsea tells Tether Grace that Adam has been ghosting Aubree. She's like, you know, Aubree sent Adam 3 more text messages, and the last one was like, "Are you getting these text messages?" And my heart cracked into 100 million pieces for Aubree that, first of all, this is happening to her in her life. Second of all, that her mom is exposing it to the whole world. You know, her friends' parents are probably watching this, her teachers are watching this, her principal is watching this, her softball coach is watching this, her friends will be watching this in like 2 more years. She'll be watching it when the clip is up on YouTube. You know what I mean? All for what? You know, at the end of the day, for what? Meanwhile, in West Virginia, Leah is still not listening to the doctor's orders to have Allie use her wheelchair. She then talks to her producer about the autobiography she's been working on. And listen, I bought the autobiography, but I never finished it. It was just so woe is me, you know, like, of course, a lot of sad things happened in Leah's life, but there was 0% responsibility for anything, so I had to stop. She then acknowledges the drug problem we all knew she had, and said that she was scared of being permanently labeled as a drug addict and that Corey would be able to use it against her. We all know how that ultimately wound up. Corey fought her for custody of the girls and won because she was just too deep into that situation. Then in Indiana, Jade's parents move out, so Sean moves in and he passed a couple more drug tests. Meanwhile, in Middletown, Kail gets some devastating news about Chris that she's not ready to open up about. What do you guys think that is? Her son Lincoln then asks her why she doesn't have a stepdad, and she doesn't have an answer for him. him. So her other son, Isaac, who is about 10 years old, 11 years old, right there, decides to give a breakdown of how Kail goes around town having babies for any man who looks twice in her direction, you know? He even had to be the one to tell Lincoln that Kail and Chris broke up. Guys, I would be so embarrassed if my kids had to like break their heads, you know, catch their tets to figure out how they're all related to one another. You know what I mean? Like, God bless this mess of a situation. Kail then cries and blames it all on everyone else in her life being toxic, as if we haven't seen her physically abuse multiple men, cheat on multiple men, and file false PFAs against multiple men as well. It's possible for you to be in the victim of a toxic relationship while also being the toxic person in a relationship as well. Like, you know, I'm not falling for the okie doke here. We all know Kail herself is an abusive, toxic person. So cry me a river at this point. Back down in South Dakota, Chelsea is on her way to her lawyer's office to fulfill Covert Cole's dream of isolating Aubree from the Lynns. So she asks Cole to tell her what she should talk to the lawyers about when it comes to her own daughter. He then tells her that he wants Adam's school lunches taken away, even though Chelsea acknowledged earlier in the episode that Adam does come to the school lunches. Again, he doesn't come to all of them, but he comes to the school lunches. In my opinion, his explanation did not even make any sense. He didn't want Adam going to the school lunches because it's too convenient for him. Like, what? He dropped his fake baby voice real quick as well when it came time to be serious about executing his master plan. If you guys go back and watch that, you'll see that there is no Mickey Mouse voice in that scene. Chelsea herself doesn't seem to mind the school lunches as well, so why is she letting Cole take them away? Listen, I'm telling you, all these girls are prime targets for abuse. They've got extremely low self-esteem, and they can't breathe without a man telling them how, you know, when to exhale or anything like that. I just don't get it. Y'all tried to tell me that she was different, but look. Back in Florida again, Devoin comes just in time to take Nova to get her hair done, and he honestly seems high or drunk, so I wouldn't have trusted him driving. But listen, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise that he came so late that Nova was too upset to go with him alone. Briana was going to loan him her car. By the time he came, Nova was upset, and so she wanted Briana to go as well, so Briana ultimately drove. But listen, I don't think Devoin should have been driving Nova. Like, he was clearly hungover, currently drunk, or currently high, and it would have been dangerous. You know what I mean? Another thing I gotta say is I'm really surprised about these girls, and it goes to Chelsea as well. They spend so much time putting out such like a negative energy about their children's fathers, and then turn around and do the shocked Pikachu face when the children absorb it and start not really wanting to be, you know what I mean? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, she, Roxanne, and Brittany spent the whole day trash talking Devoin in front of Nova. Devoin finally comes, Nova's uncomfortable, she doesn't really want to be with him, and Brianna was like, why is that? Girl, because you were talking crap about her dad in front of her all this time. Even when they went to the salon, Devoin didn't seem able to sit up properly. Like, he was totally gone. But you know what? At the very least, he paid for the haircut before going to work. It's just disappointing to see him do the bare minimum there. Back in West Virginia again, Leah shares the book with Jeremy that she wrote, and he wasn't really happy with it. And he wasn't happy with her talking about her addiction issues on Teen Mom 2 as well. And she accuses him of having gossiped about her addiction behind her back to everyone in town, but never really talking to her about it as her husband. Back down in South Dakota again, Chelsea finishes up with her lawyer and says that they want to send a letter to Grandma Donna saying that they don't want a formal visitation agreement with her anymore, and they just want for Aubree to go over there whenever she feels like it, which probably conveniently won't be that often at all, based on all the negative vibes that Chelsea and Cole put out about Grandma Donna. Chelsea admits that Aubree is fine with Adam coming to her school for the school lunches, but then she talks about how, you know, she knows that Covert Cole is going to be upset with that, which to me was a glaring red flag. I hope that she confronts him about that, because it really is none of his effing business, and he's coming across as a possessive, creepy, jealous boyfriend at this point. She then goes back home and seems a little bit nervous to tell Cole that they're going to be keeping the lunches that Aubree wants and Chelsea herself as Aubree wants. And Cole, of course, has a little bit of a bitch fit about it. He says, my heart is racing. It's too convenient for Adam and blah, blah, blah. And he talks about how he is really mad. And he claims that lunches are hard on Aubree, which is not true, because Chelsea says that they're not. She already says that they're not. And she, kind of sternly tells him, we're keeping the lunches, kind of F off a little bit there. And she reads him the lawyer letter that they drafted up for Grandma Donna requesting to drop the formal visitation. And he adds his unsolicited, dusty ass 2 cents about wanting to add more, which means it's him alluding to getting rid of the lunches, and Chelsea just ignores him, which was the best thing that she could have done at that point. She then tells us in the confessional that she likes knowing that Cole has her back, but I'm sorry, in my opinion, he does, yes, of course, in some respects, but in other respects, it seems as though he's literally just trying to ice out your daughter's family so that he can fulfill his hero fantasy. At this point, I don't even know if it is for Aubree or if it's for Cole's own ego. You know what I mean? When a child is happy to see their biological parent, even if the parent sucks, and then the child's biological parent, mother, Chelsea, doesn't see anything wrong with it, you trying to overstep your bounds and push that guy out doesn't sit right with me, and it doesn't seem like you care about the child's best interest if both the child and the child's mother feel as though it's in her best interest to continue doing that. To me, it's 100% self-serving at this point and performative heroism. Back in West Virginia again, Leah visits her sister Victoria to tell her that Jeremy doesn't want her talking about the book on camera. I love the sweater that she was wearing in this scene. It was so freaking cute. Her poor sister seemed exhausted. She's already got another kid who's quite young, and she's got this newborn all alone because the guy who knocked her up can't even come to the US. It's just a mess over there. Back in Delaware again, Kail finally announces the devastating Chris news that she was hinting at earlier in the episode. She is pregnant by Chris again. We all know that's the son that she recently gave birth to, Creed. And she talks about how Chris doesn't know that she's pregnant because they don't talk, and he's been in and out of jail. Who child? The ghetto. Kail had a lot of nerve calling Briana ratchet and be a hood rat, because this girl and her entire situation is ratchet, ghetto, hood rat, low down, ashy, you name it, and she just cries about how, sad it is. But listen, you have 3 other kids and you're pushing 30. How babies are made. I don't believe this is an accidental pregnancy. If you're getting pregnant in 2020, congratulations, you planned it. We can't play dumb anymore at this point. So God bless, life comes at you quick, and God bless Isaac, who's gonna have to explain that to Lincoln later. He just explained the breakup, and now here mom is pregnant by this guy. And by the way, Lincoln, he doesn't know that she's pregnant. Shh, it's a secret. The whole thing is just so trashy. And Jerry Springer. But anyway, those are just my opinions. I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.